day, friend, and welcome back to the Higher Grounds podcast. Joined today by Brother Matthew, Mr. Tucker. We're glad that he is on board with us today. We're excited about having a good time of podcasting together, just fellowshipping around the table and a good cup of coffee, and then giving you an invitation to a good meeting that will be coming up. Brother Matthew will be telling us about that here in just a minute. But to get the preliminaries out of the way, it's good to see you folk out there in Radio Land. Worldwide television. Yeah. First of all, it started off with when we began this thing, it was like countywide public access TV, through the cable channel, and now we're worldwide. Large and in charge. That's what I'm talking about. So, been hearing some good folks commenting on the podcast. We got folks that have been calling in from around the country with different questions and whatnot. And it's been a joy to answer you folk.
Yeah.
And if we haven't answered you, we do get a lot of correspondence that comes in. I may have missed something. If I haven't answered you in a timely fashion, please send us a text back or a direct message back, and we'll get in touch with you just as soon as we possibly can. But how are things in your world?
Everything seems to be going good.
Really?
Yeah, we had, of course, coming through the first of the year, December, January. It was kind of busy, and things kind of leveling out now. We in the month of February, and so we got probably a couple weeks or a month or so before things get ready to pick back up for the spring and summer.
Yeah, I was looking at my calendar. I keep a large wall calendar on the wall, and January was. We were busy in December. Even we had meetings in December, and then January just nothing really in January. But I had some things going on that I needed to rest up for, and then got busy in February. We've been busy in February, and then March and April and May and June and all the way down to December. We're busy here at the church and busy on the road, and looking forward to that. And we're going to talk about this here in just a little bit, but my wife and I, for our anniversary this year, we get to go to the Mediterranean and spend some time in Paris and Spain and Barcelona, Spain, and Rome, and get to spend some time over there and celebrate our 40 years together. I think we were married 37, but we've been together for a long 40.
Yeah, Miss Stephanie said we're coming up on 20. June will be 20 for us, and she was like, we want to do something big, and so we talking about doing things, and she's like, what about this? I'm like, that's out the country. She's like, what about this? I'm like, that's out the country. And so I got that fear of leaving the country and not being able to get back in.
Well, we wouldn't miss you, so I wouldn't worry too much about it.
I'd miss y'all. So, so we're going to do something.
Now, have you ever flown? Yeah, you've flown.
We've flown. This ain't never been out of the country.
Oh, well, we need to get you out of the country.
Lord Jesus.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, traveling abroad, and I've had the opportunity of doing that, I get, I don't know, a lot of stress traveling abroad. Making your way through customs in another country, particularly if they don't speak English, and it can get a little testy sometimes.
Yeah, because I'm on a polo group with the House to House polo group.
Yeah.
There's about 18 of us on there. Brother John O'Malley was in China not too long ago, and when he got to China, they stamped something wrong. So when he got ready to leave, they wouldn't let him leave because they made a mistake. And so he was poloing us, like, pray for us. They saying it's going to be X amount of weeks before we can get this cleared up and I can leave. And I'm supposed to be leaving now. And I'm like, man, see, that's why I don't want to leave the country, because I don't know what I'll do if I come through customs somewhere and they're like, you can't go back home.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You just tell them I'm going to break out just to feel bad on you, and they'll pay attention.
Well, see, my first response used to be, I'm not going nowhere where I can't take my gun. That used to be my first response.
Which means you ain't going to New York City or Boston, Massachusetts, or Chicago, Illinois, or Los Angeles, California.
Yeah. So that was my first response. And then my second one was, I ain't going nowhere I got to be vaccinated. I'm not saying we're not dealing with vaccinations on this pod, but I'm just saying,
we don't care.
I don't want to be vaccinated.
Yeah. I don't care.
So I don't want to be vaccinated.
None of us have been, but we don't care if you get stuck.
Yeah, you get. I don't want to.
So. Take all of them. I don't care. Take mine.
Yeah, I'll sell you mine.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give mine to you.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So I just try and buy me a cup of coffee.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, if you drink black coffee, it'll cure anything.
Yep.
I'm telling you, it will. And they're learning that about coffee. It's good for you.
It's good for you.
Yeah.
I like it.
And that's what we drink around here. Good black coffee.
Black coffee.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I had this very nice and kind lady. She's a black lady, and I was in a Jamaican restaurant recently, and she come up to me, and she said, "How would you like your coffee?" I said, "The way you like your men." She busted out laughing. We had such a time. Just
what if she like white men?
Well,
you got blonde rose.
Well, yeah, I got blonde rose coffee. That's right. Yeah, but it was just precious.
That's what I'm drinking now, but it's black blonde rose.
Yeah, that's what you're drinking now. That's right. Yeah. But it was such a good time. And have you ever had Jamaican food? Mm-mm. Oh, jerk chicken is great.
I just had some Peruvian food. You ever had that?
Hey, no, is it good?
I liked it. Miss Stephanie didn't like it. So we was at the hospital in Charlotte seeing a church member, and so we got ready to leave. Our car was in the parking deck. You know, of course, you get up to Charlotte, there's restaurants. Sometimes you can't find a parking spot. So I was like, it's just right across the road. We'll go put the light and we'll walk across. And Viva Chicken. Miss Stephanie likes chicken. So I said, well, they got to have. So we walked across the Viva Chicken. We got in. I'm looking at the board. And
couldn't read it.
I could read a little bit of it. I'm like, I don't know about this. And I'm like, you might want to leave. So no, it should be fine. I said, they ain't got chicken strips. And so she got it's like I asked the dude, I said, how y'all do this chicken? He said, well, let's marinate it overnight in some Peruvian recipe, and they rotisserie it. And so Miss Stephanie said, I'll take the breast and the wings, the half quarter. So I got the great sandwich. The sandwich was good. Miss Stephanie wasn't too fond of it, but that's the first time we tried Peruvian food.
Yeah, you have to understand, Miss Stephanie's a little bit picky on the food. A little bit picky on the food side.
Mainly chicken, just chicken and French fries.
Chicken and French fries.
Yeah, mostly.
She's a small lady,
yeah.
And if all you ate was a chicken and French fries, I was listening to a comedian the other day, and he said he was in a restaurant that didn't have chicken legs, and he said, "Why are we in a restaurant that specializes in chicken and you don't have chicken legs?" He said, I want to know what those chicken breasts rode in here on.
Well, you go order
He
chicken.
said, are we dealing with handicapped chicken?
Yeah, handicapped chicken. Well, you'd be surprised because, I worked at Tyson Foods in Monroe, and so no chicken come in whole, but you cut the bad off, so a lot of breasts go out without legs. And
you really? That would be... Now, tell me, you're going to have to help me here. Now, they tell me that in those slaughterhouse operations that ever so often they do a psychological eval on the people who are doing all the killing all day long.
Well, I heard the same thing, but when I was
true?
Well, I don't know it to be true. When I was there, they may do it now, but they told us that. But see, what they would do is when I worked there, I worked there for 10 years, and I started in 2001. It's 2001. I worked there for 10 years. The chickens would come in, the guys would hang them, and when they hung them, they would go through water, and then they'd stun them, and so their necks would drop, and they'd go through a blade. Well, it missed some, so they were guys on each of the two lines. For the ones that missed it, they'd cut their throat. So it didn't want like they killed every one, but they still had to cut their throat. So they said that they would have to, they would change them off every so often because of I don't know as far as the psyche valve and nerve stuff.
I don't think it would bother me.
You like to see stuff bleed, don't you?
No, it ain't gonna bother me too bad.
To see stuff bleed.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, see, them chickens flop them wings.
Yeah.
And so when you cut them, they flop, and then you go in there, it's like a horror movie because they blood everywhere.
Well, we kill our own chickens.
Yeah.
And we raise chickens and kill our own chickens and eat our own yard bird. We have free range chickens. We eat our own yard bird and have our own eggs and such. And so, it's just a normal thing.
Yeah.
The killing of the chicken at the house, and we like it. We enjoy it.
Y'all do it like Grandma used to do?
No, we hold them down and chop the heads.
Me and my cousin do it. He's got an old cone, them old orange cones.
Yeah.
You cut the top of it off and you put the bird in. It holds them in tight. And the head falls out. You just cut it. They inside that cone. So that's how we do it at his house.
Keeps them from flopping around and bruising the meat too bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, well, now that we're talking about killing,
for the topic of the day,
let's deal with marriage.
Marriage.
That's right. So Beverly and I, my bride, we first got together, I guess, met in probably 83. No, maybe 82. 1982 or 83. And so from there, we started dating, and we didn't know about the courtship thing. We grew up we were children of the '60s. We didn't know, and so we dated, and then eventually got married, and been married ever since.
What about that?
And my wife, Miss Beverly, got married. She got saved. She wasn't saved, and she got saved 2 weeks before we got married.
Wow.
And I really didn't. I never got out of church, but I never thoroughly got serious with the Lord or got right with God until about 5 years later, and maybe 4. But anyway, it was sometime later when I finally got serious with the Lord. And God really helped me and ministered in my life, and of course the rest is history. But we've got 5 children, and just within the last week, matter of fact, a week ago today, had our 10th, well, our 11th. We've got a grandchild and grandson in heaven, but our 11th child, a daughter. And they're going to call her Annabeth.
Annabeth.
Yeah, but me and her brothers calling her Gracie.
Gracie.
Yeah, well, that's our Gracie.
Because of the other podcast we had a couple weeks ago.
That's right. Yep, that's right. So me and Ben Man that you saw over here to my left, Benjamin, he and I are. He don't like the Annabeth. He don't like that name. He told his mom and dad, I don't like that name. So I told him, well, it's Gracie for me and you. So we're going to call the little precious Gracie. And so the Lord's blessed our home and blessed our family, and we're forever more grateful for that. How did you and Stephanie meet?
Well, of course, we both lived in Jefferson, so we both went to the same elementary school, same high school. All through school, me and her we was friends because her mom's got some pictures of us on our 7th and 8th grade field trips riding the bus together. And neither one of us remember riding the bus together, but she's got pictures of us on field trips together on the bus. And so we went to school together and was friends in school, but we never had an interest in one another.
Yeah.
We just got to high school, got out of high school, and of course, when I would visit a church, I'd go to Alameda. My grandpa took us to Alameda before my parents got started in church, and so we went to school together, went to church together, and it was after we got out of school. One night I was just coming into a revival meeting or church service, and we come in late. Church done started. They was already singing, so I walked up and just kind of like sat toward the back where they sit and sat behind her. And during the service, I pulled her hair, just flirting with her. And out of that night service, we sat in the parking lot about 12 o'clock talking, and it's been talking ever since.
Well, there you go.
We never really said, "Hey, would you be my girlfriend or be my boyfriend?" Yeah. We just kind of started talking. And
boys, y'all listen to Matthew now. The key to really getting down to a serious relationship quick is just grab a handful of hair.
Handful of hair. Just pull that.
And that'll do it.
That'll do it.
See, I never would have figured that.
You never would have figured it.
See, because the mountain woman I married,
you pull her hair, y'all fight.
She'd knock me out.
Yeah.
I mean, just turn around and knock.
Well, you didn't do it in church. You got to do it in church when they can't fight you. I said, that's the thing. You got to get them where they can't.
See, you done thought that thing through.
And so the whole time, she's like, I can't believe this dude just pulled my hair. And in her mind, she's thinking about what I'm going to do so in the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. Plus, you ain't got them slick moves like I got.
What about that? Somehow you're probably right. You're probably right. I'm a little rusty on the moves after being in a relationship 40 years. A little rusty on the moves.
You're supposed to still be moving on, Miss Beverly.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, what about that? Yeah.
You ever read the Book of Song of Solomon?
Have I ever? I'm telling you.
I remember the first time
me preach.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you. I heard if you ever said in a marriage conference with this guy over here and he go through the Book of Song of Solomon, you might blush a little bit.
Well, I'm just giving it to you. Yeah. You know, that Song of Solomon ain't about Jesus, friend. No, it's about a man and a woman. And as long as you keep it in the context of what it's all about, you'll do fine.
You'll be just fine.
Yeah. I'll tell you, if people could learn how to behave as husband and wife, like the couple in the Book of Song of Solomon, our marriages would be a lot happier. That's for sure. That's for sure. So we're about 15 minutes into this podcast, and we come on here specifically to talk about a meeting that Brother Matthew has coming up next This week. This week's meeting is at the Gordon Heights Baptist Church, where Brother Matthew's the pastor. And tell about the meeting.
All right, on Thursday night, we're moving our Wednesday night service to Thursday, and I don't want to say we're having a family conference, but we're having a meeting on the home. And of course, every month in February, a lot of churches. We just got out a couple weeks ago. We just got out of a family meeting, crusade conference, and so Thursday night, Brother Andy's going to be dealing with just the home. And I don't know what he's going to preach. He may go to the Book of Song of Solomon. I don't know. But it's going to be on the home, the husband, the wife, the children, just a regular church service, just dealing with the home. But we want you to come if you're in the area and come in, be with us on Thursday. Starts at 7 o'clock. Then on Friday, Michael Poindexter, he's not been on here in a while, but he's a face you're familiar with seeing. He pastors Lighthouse Baptist Church in Seagrove. He's going to be there Friday night at 7, and it's just going to be geared to the men. And how God put this on my heart was we was having prayer meeting at the church every so often. We take a Wednesday night and we designate it just specifically for prayer. And so we went in, me and my wife, we separated the men from the women. My wife kept the women in the sanctuary. I took the men to our prayer room, and I just kind of shared my heart with our men at the church. And that was one of the things I shared with, that we'd have a revival of manhood. Amen. And how we need spiritual men in the home and the church. And those two are linked together. You can't have a strong church without having a strong home. And so I told our men about that, and I wanted our men to kind of think about it coming up in 1 year, coming into a new year, that we would be the spiritual leaders of the home and the church that we need to be. Of course, you pastors know your church is in dire need of some men to step up to the plate. We need good Sunday school teachers. We need good ushers. We need good choir leaders, song leaders. We just need overall good men in our church, good, strong, biblical men who are solid on the Word of God, who don't live one way at home and live one way at the church. And so God put it on my heart to do that for Thursday and Friday. And so that's the direction we're going to be going. Thursday's going to be just to the home entirely, and then on Friday night be just for the men. We've just posted on Facebook, social media. We've not really seen any flyers out or material out. I want our folks to be there. But we want to invite y'all to come as well. If you're in the area, Concord, Highway 49, 510, Highway 49 South there in Concord. And it's right there off of 601, right in front of Central Cabarrus County High School. So we'd love for you to come and be a part of both on one of those days if you can.
You're right. Now, Brother Michael does this often. He preaches in these family conferences quite a bit. And, of course, I do too. We'll be preaching in this family conference. We'll be going from this one the very next week, preaching in a home conference at the Progress Baptist Church in Hendersonville, North Carolina. We'll be in 2 of those conferences, one in the month of February, the next one in the month of March. We will be there. We'll be doing a family conference, a home conference in the Resaca, Georgia area in early March. And so the Lord's opened this door up for us to be able to do this. And a part of it has to do with the exposure that the Higher Grounds podcast has put on home and family down through the years. And I think it's needful and it's necessary. We're seeing the rate of divorce the same in church people, quote unquote Christian people, as we do anywhere else in the lost world.
Yes, sir.
I will later on today, the date of the filming of this podcast. Later on today, I will be spending time, counseling couples that are in problems. Mm-hmm. I've already been on the phone communicating today with homes and families that are in trouble. And all of these are religious homes and religious families that have an attachment to a local church. They may not all be Independent Baptist or Baptist even, but they're people that are, call themselves Christian, and they're part of the church. Whether they have faith in Christ or not, I know not. But these are issues that need to be dealt with.
Yes, sir.
Because our very approach to marriage is all wrong, and the approach to marriage is carnal from the start, and therefore once the beginning or foundation of it is a carnal beginning or a carnal foundation, then every block or brick we lay in the home and family is set on a foundation that is shaky at best.
Yes.
So what you're doing, I think, is extremely needful.
It is.
For this era of the church.
Yes, sir. We get the opportunity. Matter of fact, Lord willing, Sunday morning I'm going to preach out above Ecclesiastes chapter 4 on we're better together.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna deal with some of those verses leading up into our family conference. Lord willing, I've already started working on it. Lord, don't change my mind. That's the direction we're going. We get to preach on the home at our church several times a year.
Yeah.
And so it's not like we get to deal with it every service. And so we try to set aside every couple of years, a couple of days where we can get together. And see, a lot of marriage conferences you go to, like we go to our Forever Us marriage conference we host here, and we get to go to Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, and we stay 3 days. A lot of folks can't leave to do that.
Right.
Especially our folks. And so I try to every other year or every year try to have matter of fact, we done it, 2 years ago, same thing, same deal, Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
And so we try to offer that to our folks because they got small kids. And so we let them bring those kids to the church
can't break
service.
free
And so we do that, and our folks love it. And what that does, that gets them excited for other family conferences or other marriage conferences. And so now when we come to Forever Us marriage conference, we got several folks in our church that saying, "Preacher, we want to do that. What can we do?" And we get them the information. And every year for the past couple of years, we've took 4 to 6 folks out of the church with us. And so they enjoy it, and we need it. We need it.
I'll give you an idea. I think marriage is probably it is the most important institution that God ever put together outside of the church. And even the institution of the church, or the organism, if you want to use that word, of the church, is only as strong as the institutions of marriage inside of the church. Someone jokingly once said, "Marriage is an institution, and those who are involved in it ought to be institutionalized."
Yeah.
You know, because of and the reason that is funny, and the reason that joke became a joke, is because of the problems and troubles and difficulties that people have in the subject of marriage. And again, we get back to the foundation. If the foundations are carnal,
yes, sir.
And by carnal, I'm meaning self-satisfying, sensual or sexual reasons for getting married, those are the wrong reasons.
Yes, sir.
And when those are the foundational reasons why two people want to spend the rest of their life together, and life changes as life does, then the foundation is going to eventually shake loose any moorings or building that they have in the home, regardless of how many years it is. I've known of marriages that were as many as 50 years that were breaking apart because of husbands and wives. I've spoke to men before and say, "I don't know what happened."
Yeah.
My wife was this kind of woman one day, the very next day she was a totally different woman. And I'm sure there are women who can make the same statement about their husbands. And so as Christians, this ought not so to be.
Right. I know we talk to folks, and like you said, living 30 and 40 years and then having marital problems, divorcing, remarrying. And I've talked to some folks, and this was what they said concerning that issue. Well, we stayed together for the children's sake. As soon as the children turned 18, got married, and got jobs, moved out, and the nest was empty. The husband and wife had no. They had been fighting all these years, and they were alone now, and so a lot of times that has a problem. And we deal with stuff like that at the Forever Us Marriage Conference, the empty nest, and things of that nature.
Right, and you'll be surprised how many marriages of pastors, preachers. You'd be surprised how many of those men and women are staying together and cohabitating for the sake of the ministry.
Yes, sir.
And for the sake of, talked to someone yesterday in regard to that, counseling yesterday in regard to some of those, that very statement that I just made. And the marriage was all about the ministry. And there are some people that are very good people, very fine people. They just can't stand the person that they're married to.
Yes, sir.
And both the husband and the wife, good people, infidelity's not involved. They've just come to the place and point where they can't stand the person that they're with any longer. And so they cohabitate under the same roof because what they have together that both of them love, such as children, grandchildren, a church, a ministry, a home, is worth more to them than separating.
Yeah.
And so they live like miserable people inside the four walls of that home while they put on a pretty face outside the walls of that home and play nice. And so these things ought not so to be. And these kinds of conferences will help us. And what I was going to say a while ago, Brother Matthew, is in everything that a person does in life that is a worthwhile venture, that individual has to get a license. Okay, you've got to get a license to drive. You've got to get a license to be a plumber. You've got to get a license to be an electrician. You've got to get a license, to be a general contractor to build houses. And there are, if you're in law enforcement, you've got to be certified and have to get a certificate of completion of schooling material. And there are manuals that are 700, 800, 900 pages that you have to work through to get that certification. And then going forward, there's not only that, but there's continued education going forward, so that you maintain the ability to do your job properly, and that's in nearly every given field. Marriage is the one thing that the state requires us to get a license for that it does not require us to take a test.
Wow.
And yet it is probably the most important institution in our life. It's the most important license that we have is this marriage license. And so if you were going to come to me, and of course I just marry folks that are in our local assembly, but if a person in my local assembly came to me and said, Pastor, we want you to marry us, and I said, well, that is a required minimum of 8 weeks premarital counseling. If they said, well, we're not going to do that, then I'm going to say to you, I can't marry you, because that's my requirement.
Yes, sir.
Because this thing is too important. And so I think there ought to be some element of study that goes into the very nature of these two people getting together to spend the rest of their lives together. They need to know who they're getting married to.
Sir.
And I counseled a young man yesterday on that very fact. I said, listen, your ministry is important. I want to see you do well in the ministry. But if you marry the wrong woman, it will negatively affect your ministry to place a point where you will not be able to minister.
Yes, sir.
And for ladies, the same. I mean, not in regard to pulpit ministry, but in regard to happiness and fulfillment and contentment in life. Yep. But your meeting is going to be when again?
Thursday and Friday, 7 o'clock.
If they want to get in touch with you, how should they get in touch with Matthew Tucker?
You can message me, email, or social media, or I can give you my phone number. It's 843-517-3065. And so that'll get up with me on my phone. You can shoot me a text, call me, and we'd love to give you some more information concerning that Thursday and Friday. But we're excited about the meeting. Then again, we don't know how many folks are going to show up, but it is very needful. And if our folks come and they get the help they need and make our church stronger, our men stronger, our home stronger, it'll be worth the 2-day meeting.
And now that you have his telephone number, please start prank calling him, please.
Yeah, I'll answer. We'll have a good conversation.
Well, I think that about does it.
I think it is.
I look forward to seeing you at the meeting. Come on up to Concord, North Carolina, and slide into Cabarrus County and right up 49, right?
Yes, sir. 49
right
South.
49 South to the church. It's right there on the right. You can't miss it.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it's the easiest place in the world to find.
It sure is.
And as you get to the church, you come in there and be with us, and we'll have a good time. Call Brother Matthew at BR549, and he'll answer all of your questions. It doesn't even matter if it's about the marriage. If you want to call him about whatever. He'll answer your question.
I'll give you an answer, whether it's right or not.
It ain't going to be right, but it'll be an answer. And until next time, from us to you, keep pressing on the upward way, friend. We'll see you at the marriage conference. God bless.